So I'm going to easily confirm something for all of you that every one of us knows is true, but we often still just let it somehow slide by. Man, the biggest, baddest dudes, the ones that are the loudest, they are usually the weakest. The ones who act the hardest, the ones who scream the loudest, the ones that are constantly flexing, whether it's in real life or online, I don't care. Man, these are the ones that are always trying to start drama. They're always trying to intimidate people before it cracks off. But these are the ones that will fucking fold. They are cowards. They are usually the biggest cowards. Now, not across the board. You can have a group of individuals. A lot of guys, like some of the people that I work out with, man, it can get really contentious. But we all know each other, and it's just a pushing. It's a push back and forth thing. Man, I've seen this over and over again. I'm telling you, in the streets, in prison, in real life, when the shit actually goes down, these dudes that are the biggest, baddest motherfuckers, they're usually nowhere to be found. The real ones, the real tough people, the real killers, man, they move in silence because power doesn't need to be announced. Power is self-evident. And like I said, man, you're gonna hear me say this over and over and over again. Power usually moves in silence. Now, this is the truth about and the difference between fear and being brave and why most people don't understand it. Most people think that being brave means not being afraid. They think that the guys who move the boldest, fight the hardest, take the biggest risks, that they're fearless. And that is not how it works. That is absolutely not the case. The people who act with the most decisiveness, the people who make the boldest moves, man, they're usually the ones that feel the most fear. These are people who take action while everyone else freezes because they feel fear so much. Fear is actually a healthy thing. It's just you cannot allow it to stop them. And those people who act in the face of fear do not allow it to stop them. Fear is not your enemy. Hesitation is. You should keep that in mind. Fear is not your enemy. Hesitation is. Not being able to act in the face of fear is what makes you weak. Moving forward, even when you're afraid, is what makes you strong. And that is across the board. You will have women that their child is in danger, and that woman, she just acts, knowing damn well that she is about to lose that situation, most likely. And often they're victorious merely because they act with conviction at that moment. But they're acting in the face of the fear. That makes them strong. The people who do the craziest, most courageous things, the guys who charge in a battle, the guys who step up when shit gets real, they don't move because they feel safe. They move because they are terrified. I've sat down with a lot of Vietnam vets and just listened to their stories. And they would talk about how they would suddenly find themselves pinned down in crossfire, bullets coming from all different directions. And the person that would jump up and scream bloody murder and charge at the enemy wouldn't be this like big, huge, brave guy. It would be some little dorky dude that you would never think of. And that would cause the rest of them to get up and charge as well. And that's what saved most of them. That's why the loudest ones are always the weakest. The little dorky dudes that were doing that, they weren't acting like that. But when it came down to it, these dudes were really about it. And I'm telling you, I've seen this over and over and again, man. In the prison system, in the streets, and in every dangerous situation that I've ever been in, the loudest ones, the ones who bark the most, the ones who are always trying to prove just how hard they are, man, they usually fold the fastest. Like a house of cards. Down. As soon as a real predator steps to them, as soon as someone that they can't just intimidate easily steps to them, oh, they back right down. They're quick to start the drama, but when it really kicks off, man, they'll either hide behind someone else or they'll make a bunch of noise, and then when it kicks off, they disappear. They play tough. And I'm talking about guys online and in real life. But when something pushes back in real life, they crumble when the pressure hits. That is why I never take loud people seriously. Real power doesn't need to be announced. It is self-evident. It's the quiet ones who are dangerous. It's the ones who move in silence who hold the real power. It's the ones who act without hesitation who decides what happens next. When you have a group of guys and you see one dude just acting super tough, usually it's because he knows he has a real killer with him and that guy's in the crowd and he's just being quiet. That's the one that you want to worry about. When shit used to crack like that, I wouldn't be paying attention to that guy who's yelling and screaming and doing it. I'm looking for the one who looks the calmest, and that's the one I approach and talk to. And we could usually squash the situation just that easy. This is what most people don't get about power. In prison, you see who people really are because you're stuck together. So you get to see who people really are. And one of the biggest lessons I learned was simple. The ones who act like they run everything, they're the first ones to break. The ones who move calm, quiet, and controlled, those are the ones that you take seriously. The real killer is the one, I mean, he won't say nothing. The real big bad dude, he doesn't have to say anything because he knows what he's about. I had an instance, man, where a fight broke out in the chow hall. It was a pretty big fight. Chaos just erupted instantly. People were grouping up. People were putting their backs to the wall. People were panicking, looking around, trying to figure out what to do. Man, I stayed calm. I realized that the situation could we were in a vulnerable situation. I recognized that. So I calmly got up. This is while this is all happening. Grabbed my tray and walked to the entrance or to the exit. And I threw my tray into the tray slot. Now, I walked across the room twice. While other people were hesitating, I was positioning myself where I knew I needed to be. While others were reacting, I was controlling my next moves. While the loud ones were barking and there was real motherfuckers getting down too. I'm not trying to say there wasn't. But I was making sure that I was putting myself where I had the advantage. So when I throw my tray in the slot and the guards slam that front, this is the exit door and they slam it shut. I didn't panic. I calmly walked back across the entire chow hall to the entrance door. Now, when I started walking, immediately my crew just followed my lead. All they see is somebody moving, and so it's time to go. And I was calm, so they stayed calm. When we got to the entrance door and it didn't open, I told everybody that was in front of us just started pounding on the door. So they all were beating on the door. Believe it or not, one of the guards opened the door to tell everybody to stop pounding on the door. At that exact moment, I pushed everybody that was in front of me, probably like 12 dudes. As soon as I started pushing on them, the people that were with me, they started pushing on them. Of course, obviously, that many people pushing on the door, the guard couldn't hold it, and people just fell out and we just calmly walked out. Now, by the time the guard secured the door again, we were already outside in the hallway. Now, the reason that's important is because I knew that if we stayed inside, we were in a more vulnerable position. If I didn't stay calm, my people could get antsy and something could go wrong. If one gets involved, we all got to stay involved. Now, fear didn't stop me, it forced me to move. I was afraid of what would happen next. I didn't act because I wasn't afraid, I acted because I knew hesitation would put us in a worse position. I had to get us in a position where we could control and hold our position if need be. The real power wasn't acting big and bad, it was in staying calm and controlling the situation. Now, when they reviewed the camera footage, the guards were all positive about it. They thought that I had orchestrated the whole thing. Not because I was yelling, not because I was running around and making a scene, and not because I was in the middle of the chaos. It was because they said I was too calm. And I just walked across the chow hall both times. And I walked close to the dudes, but I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm not getting involved in their shit. And I made no move to look like I was about to. That's what scared them. That's what made them think that I was pulling the strings, because they know just as well, real power moves in silence. At that moment in time, as soon as that happened, I jumped to the top of their worry about list. This dude was able to move without anybody getting in his way and lead a group of people straight from one door all the way back to the other. So you have to understand the fear is a weapon if you know how to use it. Most people feel fear and freeze. They let it paralyze them. They let it make their decisions for them. They let it stop them from doing what needs to be done. But fear is not your problem. Fear is healthy. You should be feeling fear. The problem is not knowing how to move in the face of it. You have to be able to act in the face of fear. The people who move with the most confidence are usually the ones who feel the most fear. I have experienced this over and over and over again. The people that I talk to, man, they all say the same thing. No, hell no, I was afraid. That's why I did what I had to do. The people who make bold moves aren't fearless. They just understand the fear is an instruction, not an obstacle. The people who control their fear control the outcome. And that's why you gotta always move like you're not afraid. You present like you're not afraid. But it's not because you don't feel fear, it's because you refuse to let it stop you. So, I try to always do these final challenges things, my challenges to you, but most of them are super basic. Identify something, write it down, move in the face of it, or go accomplish it or whatever, right? But the truth is, I'm going to tell you real simple, man. Find things that make you afraid. At least monthly, do one thing that you are afraid of doing. But I would honestly say weekly. Man, weekly identify things that you're afraid to do and just go do them. Man, if it's the basic thing, if you're afraid of talking to a girl, just go talk to girls. You don't have to ask for the number, just go talk to them. Now, most people hear this message and still hesitate. Don't be like most people. Make the move. Move first. The truth about fear and power at the end of the day, fear is a constant. It's not going anywhere. You will feel it in business. You will feel it in fights. You will feel it in moments where the next decision could change everything. The weak let fear stop them. The loud try to cover it up. The smart use it as a tool. The real ones, they don't run from fear. They don't let it paralyze them. They let it sharpen them. And that's where you got to put yourself. You got to put yourself in a position to where you're utilizing your fear to sharpen you consistently. Because the boldest moves don't come from a place of feeling safe. That wouldn't be brave. That wouldn't be bold. They come from a place of understanding risk and acting anyway. Knowing that this could go wrong and you still act. Because if you don't act, it for sure will most likely, almost without doubt, go wrong. So you have to act in order to control it to the best of your ability. The people who make things happen in this world, they don't always know the outcome. Usually you do not know the outcome. They don't always feel in control. Usually you're acting because you don't feel in control. And they don't always feel like the biggest, baddest dude in the room. But they act like it. That's the difference. Not crazy, not yelling, not screaming, just with full confidence, bravery, and boldness. And that's the difference. Because when it's all said and done, no one cares how afraid you were. They care about what you did. They care about how you moved. They care about whether or not you stepped up when the moment demanded it. So the next time fear hits, you want to be able to walk straight into it. Move like a man who is not afraid. Not because you don't feel fear, but because you refuse to let it control you. This is why you have to consistently put yourself in positions to where you are facing fear regularly. You got to consistently face fear regularly. That's the difference between the ones who lead and the ones who get left behind.